Oh my gosh. TikTok, it's time to rock. For the third time today, ladies and
Surprised you've got a
gentlemen,
voice left.
I'm ticking and I'm talking.
You're talking all
Oh
night.
gosh.
Yes.
Oh, look, I have to be honest with you guys. It's always great. It's always great, isn't it, when the Sunday boys are on to do the ranking of the tracks. It's always great. We've had some great shows today, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But I just got to make a little bit of a shout out to the guests that were on, and obviously to the people that were watching, Simon and Brad. Brad jumped on a couple. The Rock Professor did one after his pompadoms. And look at the views, guys. Look at the views our shows are getting. It's because of all these wonderful people in the chat, Rock Professor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's fantastic, amazing. Yeah. And I really enjoyed behind the scenes. I messaged Andrew going, "I'm coming on that show. Never you mind you doing a show at 10 o'clock at night without me. I'm harassing you. That was terrible." But good.
No problem.
That was great.
Fantastic.
I really enjoyed the show with Alan. He's fantastic. Really good.
Awesome. And we were lucky enough to get. Yeah, we were lucky enough that Brad was out and about doing some bits and pieces, and he sent a message. He said, "I'm jumping on. Make way, make way."
See what I mean?
Make way for the backdoor man. I said, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah, I couldn't miss it. I had to give my 2 cents worth on Led Zeppelin 3. It's like I had to.
Yeah.
But great effort today, Andrew. You've done amazing shows, and same with you, Rock Professor. The one this morning was
the one. Yes.
Yeah, it was your second one, really. So.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing about Sunday, though, it gives us an opportunity, and we're not going to do this a lot, guys, but it certainly gives us an opportunity to catch up with our North American guests, because I keep saying it, but if you guys are going to be doing your own shows, the hardest thing that you have to do is organise times with, the geography and the world. It's a big place, so... that's something that we've realized, haven't we, guys? It's like, when are we going to get a guest on, and when are we going to work this out and work that out? So, Sunday works well, but yeah, it won't be a regular because, we've got to do other things, don't we, Simon?
Yeah, but that 10 o'clock for me, that 10 p.m. slot is a good slot for me, in terms of our North American friends, people from North America want to come on that. So for me, that's a good slot, it's fine.
Awesome.
Back from Poppadom eating.
Yeah. I led people astray. I said, the Rock Professor's finished this last pint about an hour ago, so it'll be okay. But he corrected me. He said, wrong pea. It's the wrong pea.
Poppadom's not pints.
Brad, obviously, a lot of people will be happy to see that you're jumping in, bro. Clearly, yeah. So it's always a pleasure, bro, to have you on. And this is your show, bro. But going through the situation that you've got, we'll take you, bro. We'll take you anyway.
And take me anyway. That's good because this is the best you're going to get at the moment. So. No, I've said it over the last couple of times I've jumped on, and I'm really grateful for all the love and all the warm wishes and everything, and everything I've received from everyone's been overwhelming, and thank you so much. It certainly helps, but it's a good place to be here. If I'm just hanging out, sitting on the couch, not doing anything, I'd rather be with you guys, just having a bit of a chat to you wonderful people in the chat, and everyone that checks out the show later. But a personal note, I just want to say thank you to everyone for all the amazing support that I've had. It's been amazing, so thank you. And there's my mate Adam Croft. G'day, Adam. How are you, buddy?
Yeah.
Good to see you, Adam. Thanks for jumping in.
Morning, Adam.
The Rock Professor's going to do a shout out soon to everybody, so you guys just hold on, yeah, we'll always do that for you guys. But look, I'm looking forward to this album, Rock Professor. We've done this artist before, haven't we? We've done Truth.
We've done Truth, yeah, we did Truth, yeah, a while ago. And well, I kind of think that we talk a lot on here about Jimmy Page. We talk a lot on here about Eric Clapton, but the third prong of the triumvirate is the great Jeff Beck, and he is as great as those other two. Absolutely, it's extraordinary that within that sort of 5 mile radius that those three guitarists came up at the same time. Sorry. And as we were discussing earlier on, Jimmy Page, master of all he surveys, but Jeff Beck, equally so, and an extraordinary, much more kind of maverick talent, I think, than that. Has his own vision, does his own thing, regardless of the consequences of anything. Really, Jeff, he's a singular man.
Hey, Nerd Halen, how's it going, Caleb?
Caleb,
been following you on your social medias, bro, at your gig. You guys have been doing well. Well done, bro. Well done. Thanks for jumping in the chat. We appreciate it. Our channel is always going to have a strong connection with the guys that helped us push our channel forward. And Caleb, you jumping on, doing a shout out a while ago for us certainly was one of those milestones for the channel. Thank you, Caleb.
Yeah,
thank you.
Very cool. Caleb got his dad on FaceTime and then got the audience to sing "Happy Birthday," which was really cool. I thought
Mr.
Nice.
Mr. Rappaport is an amazing man. I've mentioned this before. When I was a young boy at primary school, when we studied the Aberfan disaster, it was part of the New Zealand curriculum back then, and his photographs and the stories that we had to write about that had an effect on a young 9-year-old. And to find out that this dude that I knew through social media, his dad was responsible for documenting, for the documentary of that disaster, will go down in history for forever. So, yeah, thank you. Pass on your regards to your dad for me for that.
Happy
just
birthday
my little bit.
to Mr. Rappel. Really cool. But anyway, that was lovely. I thought, Caleb, well done.
Talking about the Clapton, Page, and Beck, yeah, you're right. You're right, Simon. And they all started off life as Yardbirds, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's funny because we always look at Jimmy Page as being, the wizard, like we spoke about. He's the sonic architect, the producer. Clapton has been the big, blues nut, the one that brought the Beano album out, like with that tone that we all sort of love so much. And he's turned into, bigger than Ben Hur as a blues artist. He's still doing it. But Jeff Beck is always like the spice out of those three. He's always been, it's like salt and pepper, and he's like the spice, the spicy. When I hear him play, for me, it's really joyous to listen to Jeff Beck and refreshing because he's still from that era of that trilogy of those guys, for example. But he brings a like I said, that spice and added flavor to his playing. There's some really amazing moments on this record, Simon, you picked, and I listened to it again today. I was just like, wow, I haven't listened to this album for so long, and I'm silly. I should have listened to it sooner because but yeah, one thing about Jeff Beck, which we'll go into when we get into this, in my opinion, is he wanted to be different. He didn't want to be like Clapton. He didn't want to be like Page. He wanted to be his own entity. And even to this day, probably one of the most unique guitar players of all time, really. Let's be honest. At his age, still playing so with finesse and playing with some extremely technical stuff. Like he's still doing it where Page isn't doing as much as we wish he would, and Clapton's just on his blues path. So he slotted right into that fusion sort of stylings through the 80s and 90s. Jeff Beck did. Even though his music wasn't quite fusion, he still had that. So I don't know if you guys agree with me, but or if I'm waffling, but that's just how I see it.
No, I agree. I agree completely. I think, that for me, Clapton's the academic, all that immersing myself in the deep blues and that, when he was in the Yardbirds stuff, that kind of quite academic approach to it, digging in. Jimmy Page, the studio man, the man who learned kind of on the go doing it, and doing all those sessions in the 60s and, so learning about production and about, playing different styles of music, all sorts of things, doing all that stuff. And then you've got Jeff, the maverick, the man with the singular vision, the man who's doing his own thing, regardless. And kind of, as you say, interestingly, they don't sound like each other by a country mile, do they? There's no, there's absolutely, they don't play in the same way. They don't do the same things in any way, shape or form. And I think that's really interesting that each one of them developed their own style, their own way of doing it. And hence has had very long and interesting musical careers, with fantastic groups, And I agree. I mean, the Blow by Blow and those albums in the 70s with Jan Hammer are amazing records. They're not blues records, but they're amazing records. Amazing kind of technically as well, technically amazing, but also Jeff never lost the feel, always had the feel. And is a fantastic. Does his own, his own technique of playing, which is, beautiful. And when he does, he's very lyrical player, isn't he? He can be, with the tone and the whammy bass stuff and all those things he does that nobody else does like him. Extraordinary.
I think what's interesting about the guy though is that we always love the backstories. We know what's happening with Clapton. We know where he came from, and that's all fantastic and great. And as Simon said with Page, we get that. Beck, a great documentary, guys, that came out a couple of years ago. If you guys haven't seen it, it's on Apple. You can go and see it. It's fantastic. It's an eye-opener. There's a biography out too, so go and check that out because, I'm going to say some things that are going to describe Beck from my perspective, but please understand that I don't mean it in the sense that these words can sometimes describe people. But Jeff Beck to me is like the shitty, snotty little schoolboy that you've got in the classroom, and he'll walk out because he doesn't get his own way, and he'll slam the door, and he'll piss off onto his bike, and he'll go home, and guess what? That's exactly what Jeff Beck did. He would leave bands or whatever for his reasons,
mid-tour,
because
mid-tour,
and go home and sleep on his mum's couch and then work out where he's going to go. Now that's rock and roll. I love that because of that single determination, Simon and Brad, that artists have. He's not going to compromise. He wants to go and do it his way. And look, shit, at the end of the day, we love that, don't we, Brad?
Oh, yeah, 100%. He's
singular vision is fantastic.
Yeah. Very focused guy. And I saw Jeff Beck, many years ago, about 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. And by God, I walked out of there and my jaw dropped. It was a life-changing moment for a guitar player to watch him.
Yep.
His version of A Day in the Life by the Beatles he's playing the guitar like it's a voice, like he's very vocal. Yeah. But it gave me goosebumps. It was phenomenal.
That's what I meant about the feel, that kind of that sense for melody and stuff is just all his own. Nobody does it like that.
Cat Rock Professor, you want to do a quick shout out while we remember?
Team? Yeah. I'll do a quick shout out to him. So we go. Good morning to Tim Thomas first again. Gretch Eppin. Tim, Gretch. Oh no, I can't do all of that. It's too early. Arvin, of course. Arvin. Good morning, Arvin. Hope you're good. Adam Crofts. Good morning, Adam. Friend of Brad's. Johnny Heartbreaker. Morning, Johnny. Thanks for dropping by. We've got moving down. Deja Voodoo. Deja, how you doing?
Deja Voodoo.
Deja Voodoo, yeah. Deja Voodoo.
Yeah.
Yes. So good to see you, Deja Vu. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's been a
Jazz
while,
Thunder
bro.
50. Yeah, Jazz Thunder 50. Our colleague and friend from the north of the border. Good morning, Jim. Hope you're good. And
Best part of
of
England.
course, Caleb as well. Nerd Halen. Glad to see you're killing it in the casinos, keeping your money, hopefully. Lake District ambient music. Fantastic. Good to see you, my fellow Brit. Always nice when a few people from.
He's gonna join us next week. That guy. I've got a secret. He's gonna join us.
Can you say that? Can you say it out
Yes. Yes.
loud? Anyway, good. So that's fantastic. Leo Safko. Morning, Leo. Thanks for joining. Good to see you. We've got Helene O'Hara. Good morning, Helene. How are you? Hope you're good. We've got. I think hopefully that could be everybody. Hopefully I didn't miss
Helen
anybody.
Winter. Helen.
Helen Winter. Helen Winter, just at the bottom of the screen. Good morning, Helen. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. So hopefully that's got everybody. If I've missed somebody, say hi. Yeah, Johnny, it's a secret. Say hi and I'll give you a shout out. Fantastic.
Awesome. Wonderful. So Rock Professor. Should we get into the rankings? You want to give a bit of a background on
just a quick background on it? Just so clearly this
and
is
how we came across Jeff Beck. Do we want to do that? And
yeah, let's do that first. Yeah.
Okay, so well for me, I think it was Truth. I think Truth was the first album, guys, that I came across and that I seriously understood and listened to. And then I certainly didn't listen to Beck-Ola before Truth. Truth was the one for me. And Brad will be happy to hear this. It wasn't until some of those guitar magazines were coming out around 87, 88, 89 when they were interviewing Slash, and Slash was making reference back then to Jeff Beck, as his go-to guy. So that pushed a lot of guys that I knew back then into because if this guy is really cool playing this guitar now and he's talking about Jeff Beck, we got to go and check this guy out. That's how it works, and that's what I did.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Brad?
Mine, I always knew of Jeff Beck, but I never really gave him the chance. And then, I knew of him through the Yardbirds, and I was obviously a Zeppelin fan, and knew of Jeff Beck, but never really dove headfirst into Jeff Beck's music. Back in the 90s, a long time ago now, I was a young guy. I was getting guitar lessons from a wonderful guitarist and friend, Dave Leslie, from the Baby Animals. And he goes, "We're going to study this song by Jeff Beck." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Obviously, I was a bit sort of like, I don't really know if I'm going to know this well enough or not. It was off an album called Rough and Ready, and it's a song called New Ways, Train, Train, Train. And it's like this epic song. It's like a journey. Goes for, I don't know, 5-6 minutes maybe. And we went through it like piece for piece. The chord changes, the rhythms, the playing, the phrasing. There's some unique licks, the way he would phrase, not just a standard pentatonic lick, but also adding notes and taking notes out. And the way he was doing it was just phenomenal. And obviously watching someone play it in front of me, like Dave Leslie was, actually made me become a fan. So I went and bought that album, and then obviously from that, bought Blow by Blow and a few other albums at the time. And obviously then I became a fan. It was like it took someone to push me a little bit into it, because I was just not, let's just say, I was hesitant to check him out because I was just content with the stuff I was doing, I guess. Being a younger guy, that's what you do, isn't it? So,
yeah.
But unbelievable. Once I got into Jeff Beck, his early stuff, and I could hear, so many things. And I don't want to blow any of the notes I've got for our songs coming up, but there's parts I could hear, I could hear where Jimmy Page would have been influenced by. I could hear like where he's been influenced by Jimi Hendrix. Like you can hear these things in his playing. It's remarkable, and I still say to this day, you could not see like Jeff Beck playing the same thing that Eric Clapton does, but there's no way you can see Eric Clapton playing what Jeff Beck does. Do you know what I mean? Same thing with Jimmy Page.
Yeah,
They got their own
absolutely.
voicings, and to this day, he's still one of the strongest players from that era, without a doubt.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it is interesting that, as I said earlier, that they don't sound like each other. They might have similar source materials, but actually they don't at all.
And I have to say, sorry to back up what you said, Andrew, that thing. I mean, obviously being a huge Slash fan, I saw that guitar magazine that you're talking to, and I saw there was a thing on MTV where Guns N' Roses got Slash invited Jeff Beck up to play with them, and there was backstage, or what I call sound check footage of them playing a song, Guns N' Roses song called Locomotive. And Jeff Beck obviously did one or two things, blew his ears out like he told him, or he didn't want to do it after the sound check and took off. But it sounded phenomenal. What I was hearing sounded phenomenal. So even his guest slots, like Jeff Beck did on Duff McKagan's solo album, played a song, and it's unbelievable what he's playing on it. It's just I've heard Jeff Beck do a Hendrix tribute on a Hendrix tribute album, and I think it's called Manic Depression that the song he plays on, and it's just his playing is just next level on it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Sorry to waffle, guys.
No, it's fine. It's interesting. He is, yeah. For me, he's like a bit more of the unsung hero, isn't he? Just does not quite spoken about in the same way as Clapton and Page, but ought to be. For me, Jeff Beck. I mean, I the first stuff I got of him was Blow by Blow and Wired. Those two albums were like my entry into Jeff Beck. I mean, clearly, I read quite a lot about him in the early 70s, but he wasn't really played on the radio, except for, of course, the ubiquitous Hi Ho Silver Lining, his hit record. But apart from that, not really. I didn't really investigate it, interestingly, until as I say, a bit later, so it was 75, 76, when Wired came out, and Blow by Blow, those two albums particularly, really grabbed me, and I thought the playing, that kind of was amazing, and the feel. It's that combination of melody, feel, and technical abilities, I think, is that he has in spades, and that just the subtleties, the way he uses the whammy bar, and the way extraordinary in a way that is unique to him. And you can watch him play. If you watch him play now, live at the Marquee, or Ronnie Scott's live at Ronnie Scott's, it's an extraordinary, unique talent and technique of playing that I find, and even then found fascinating. So that's where I came in on those two kind of jazz, those fusion albums that I think are fantastic.
Yeah,
really
awesome.
Really interesting.
Good background, guys, and it's always something that I find personally interesting about how we dipped our toes and got our hands dirty with the artists, because that's what it's about, isn't it? It's about that discovery, that point of discovery, and going on from there. And I think Leo's comment here about Rod Stewart, we're going to probably obviously talk about Rod's vocals and his contribution to this album, because I think he's the sauce on top, baby. But yeah, disco did a lot to a lot of those British acts. Fleetwood Mac, for example, they turned into a disco version, Fleetwood Mac, and the
disco version.
and Rod Stewart too, so Yeah.
I think, Fleetwood Mac, the disco years. There's a book there. Swear to God. I thought of it first.
All right, that's the next
Oh,
show.
dear. Yeah.
But you want to kick it off?
Disco,
You want to
the
kick it off,
disco
Rock
years.
Professor?
Oh dear, that's funny. I enjoy that. Anyway, so Beck-Ola, clearly the second album after Truth,
Yep.
recorded. Truth was out in '68, and this was recorded in April '69. Over
Yeah.
6 days. 6 days. Just those are the days you go in the studio, knock it out, do what you need to do, and and then bingo, you've got an album as a thing. So by then, of course, Mickey Waller had been replaced by Tony Newman on the drums, and to give it a slightly and Mr. Beck, as we all know, wanted to take it in a heavier direction. So he got a thing. The other person I think on this album that we should acknowledge is Nicky Hopkins, the pianist, who's clearly the foil to Jeff Beck is for me on this album is Nicky Hopkins, and what he does on the piano and things is amazing, and to have that kind of instrumental foil. Yes, it's interesting, isn't it, that Jeff seems to want a kind of keyboard foil, doesn't he? So he's had Jan Hammer on Wired and Blow by Blow. He's had Nicky Hopkins before that. He seems to like that, that kind of keyboard thing rather than second guitar things.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, it's give him his own space and stuff. Produced by Mickey Most, the great producer from the '60s. I think him and Jeff had fairly tested relationship. Mickey Most, the pop producer, being pushed into heavy rock by Jeff. There's probably some arguments there about doing it, but as I've said, so I think the other thing we should say is that the album cover is a surrealist artist, René Magritte's painting called The Listening Room. Okay. And it's actually, I don't remember that, is it? So that kind of points to where Jeff Beck is. It kind of his interest in art and modernism and things. And I think contemporarily, it was kind of reviewed reasonably okay in some places, not so reasonably in other places. I think we should deal with this at some point, but is the comparison with Led Zeppelin, the whole kind of Jimmy Page stole it from stole it from Jeff Beck, etc. The truth thing. I think that this is, I don't hear much Led Zeppelin in any of this stuff. Tony Newman is not John Bonham for starters. Jeff Beck is not Jimmy Page, and that's a good thing, and and plays in a completely different way. And so I think that even if you've got the same roots and you do, that the filters there are so strong, and clearly with Nicky Hopkins as a pianist rather than I know John Paul Jones played the keyboards, but that's part of the band is playing it. That actually the sound that comes out to me is quite different. I don't hear a huge comparison between the two, and I think just to say, oh look, there's two rock bands playing riffs, that it's the same thing. I don't think it's the same at all. I don't. In retrospect,
it's lazy. It's lazy journalism, Simon, by hack writers back in the day. Who wanted to make something out of nothing, and the fact that they shared a band together called the Yardbirds, it means absolutely nothing, because sonically they're miles apart, and I want to thank you for saying that, because I can't hear they're completely different, and we've just gone through in our introduction by saying, Brad was mentioning it before, that Clapton does not sound like Jeff Beck. And I agree with what you're saying too about the drumming. It's just, again, but I'm glad you're talking about it, because there's no connection whatsoever that I can hear.
Brad, do you have a? I mean, you're the musician amongst us in a way that we're not. Do you see a connection there? A source material or something?
Look, I can see that they would influence each other because they were friends. They were around at the same time. They were playing, but when you listen to the music, they don't sound like carbon copies of each other. There's no real look. Jimmy Page could not sound like Jeff Beck ever, and vice versa. So
That's right.
But in saying that, I think they were close enough to maybe influence each other. But that's like saying to me, Nirvana sounds like Alice in Chains. That they don't, but they're from Seattle, and they like that's the minute that someone says, "Oh, Seattle bands," they all sound the same. They don't. They don't. Soundgarden sound nothing like Nirvana. Alice in Chains don't sound like Soundgarden. They're all different. They're all got their own sound. So back in this day, it was easy to categorize them as sounding the same. That's just, I think, and as you guys have alluded to, it's just lazy journalism.
Yep.
Yeah. Or possibly based on one track, on Truth, you shook
one
me
track,
thing, which is
one track, Simon,
which has a kind of similar, which I would say they have come from similar places.
Sure,
but they're not the same thing, and I don't, I think that the personnel in the band, as I've said, John Bonham doesn't play like Tony Newman by a country mile.
No way.
No way. I mean, doesn't make Tony Newman a bad drummer, but he doesn't play like they're not the same thing at all. And I think that and Ron Wood doesn't play like John Paul Jones, and we can get into that. But so I think going back and I listened to it with that in mind, thinking to myself, I don't see any real connections with this. Clearly they come from the same wellspring, but that I don't really compare the two things. I don't really think they're the same at all myself. I think they're different things. I think that this is in many ways I think this, not to preempt things, but this is much more of a kind of predecessor to to almost to heavy metal than almost anything that Led Zeppelin did. I think there's some amazing guitar stuff on here that is like, whoa. Riffs and things that I think, but
100%.
Yeah. I just say one more thing before we get into the tracks. Apparently the album's title is a pun on the name of Beck-Ola, the jukebox company. Don't know if you've heard of them. So they decided to do Beck-Ola, like Rock-Ola, which is cool, I think. So anyway, do you want to say anything else before we get into the tracks, team?
No, it's wonderful intro. Wonderful.
Good. Yeah. Okay, cool. Right, in that case, let's go. Track one, side one. As you know me, we're always on side one. And this song is All Shook Up, which is clearly the Elvis Presley, sort of a raw, to almost describe it as like a hard rock version of the Presley classic. And they rework the tune a bit, so it's not quite the same. Kind of make it, and I was thinking, I don't mean this disparagingly, in all the best tradition of taking a classic song and playing it and making it your own, as a song, and I think that guitar, again, the first thing, guitar and piano in together, with the drums, and it's I really admire. I don't think of Ron Wood as a bass player, but you know what? I really enjoyed his bass playing on this. It's he's got a lot of verve and a lot, pushes it along, lots of energy, and I think he does a really good job on the bass. I'm just putting that out front. Hats off to Ron for his bass playing. Rod Wales in his Rod way, he's got that kind of tremendous, like, gravelly soul voice that is so suited to this sort of material. Jeff with his classic fierce guitar interjections, everywhere, just, and I don't know about you, it's a kind of, he always strikes me as he's a sort of angry young man, isn't he? Just in his playing, every note says angry young man. trying to kill it. But yeah, in a fantastic way. I mean, he plays amazing guitar, amazing riffs, amazing to. Yeah, we should say hello to Ellen. Hope she's fine, and your mum, Brad. I hope she's good.
Yep.
We miss her. That's good. So, it's got a blistering solo on it. It's got. I think is it a slide guitar? He does play slide, and he has that kind of slide thing, doesn't he? That he sneaks in between the straight stuff, which I think is also incredible. And yeah, it's a great version, full of energy, full of drive, full of full of anger, full of everything. And Rod singing, and I think that the band do a fantastic job. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. Never a skip.
Yeah, it's a great version of the song.
Great opener.
It's exciting. It's energetic. It's different to the Elvis Presley version. So if you're looking at the song listings and you think it's going to be just a straight cover of Elvis's song, forget it. It ain't anything like it. It's look, Rod Stewart, he sings phenomenally in this one. Jeff Beck, he plays some stellar guitar, especially the solo. It's right on the verge and the cusp of not being human, if that makes sense. In that time frame, no one was really playing like Jeff Beck, in my opinion. So what he was doing here was groundbreaking in some ways, for me anyway. Some really great piano for extra color from Nicky, and I'll put here the rhythm section. It just sounds fantastic, and it's hard to picture Ron Wood playing bass. It really is, but he does a great job. The one thing I will say is, if you're going to try and pick influences and say this band sounds like this and this and that, you can certainly hear where the Black Crowes are influenced from, and it's from the Faces and early Jeff Beck, in my opinion. You could, if you pictured Chris Robinson singing on this, he could almost sing this straight off the bat, no problem, in my opinion. So I love the version of it. I listened to it today about 3 times. I give it 10 out of 10. It's never a skip for me.
No.
I'm glad that you mentioned the Black Crowes, because we've done the Black Crowes guys, haven't we, on this channel, and the Faces. He's got that groove, that, and gosh, this is why we love this this type of music, that British electric blues, because these guys do it so differently. Simon, you're right. Brad, you're right. The song is so different, and I'm listening to the song, and all I can think about, I've got this image of the rock professor in my brain when I'm listening to this, and I'm going, why is the rock professor in my head when I'm trying to listen to this music? And I'll tell you why, Brad, because straight away, this song has got swing. This song is swinging completely different from what Elvis and Scotty were doing. They were going up and down. Whereas this song's going sideways, and it's so obvious. It's so obvious the differences. So if you want to know what we mean by swing, go and check those 2 songs out, in my opinion. Brad, I think you're right. Rod Stewart's vocals, my gosh, I just, I can't.
His height. Yeah.
Oh, it's just, mod the Rod, Rod the mod the Rod, and he was doing other things, Roddy too, wasn't he? The hot rod.
That's Jeff Beck.
Yes. Family show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
behave yourself, Mr. Pussy Nose.
Look, I have to give this a 10 out of 10, Brad. I've got to. It's only because it's so different from the original, and so good, so goodliness.
100%.
Full of
look, if you never heard Elvis Presley's song or his version of it, you wouldn't know that it's an Elvis song at all.
Correct. Hey, Crappy. Correct. correct?
No, absolutely. It's you wouldn't, would you? It's funny, but but
Great
that's what I
song.
think. That's what I said about making it your own. One of the most difficult things is doing a cover version is to make it your own. Filter it through the people in your band. You're filtering it through Jeff Beck. You get something completely different, don't you? You get something that is uniquely his. That is clearly it. So yeah, great opener, great opening track, and thing. So track 2 is Spanish Boots. This original with Ron Wood, Jeff Beck, and Rod Stewart. Again, it's a tremendous follow up to the first track. With a massive riff at the beginning that Jeff plays, loads of fierce guitar interjections between Rod's passionate singing, that gravel soul voice really coming to the fore. Quite fuzz bass as well. That kind of I don't know what. Ronnie's clearly plugging it into a Marshall or something to get that really kind of fuzz bass, which gives it that really big bottom end. And really good, great varied drumming as well from Tony Newman. I think there's a lot of variation in these drums, a lot of punctuation. Drums punctuate the singing at several points, which is I think really good. That playing off between the two of them. The slide guitar as well, Jeff's, I think signature slide guitar bit where he just does that thing with a slide. I don't think anybody else does in a way. It's not quite in that kind of same subtle way. It's beautifully done. It's for me, those little things are thrilling moments of Jeff, because they're like nobody else that does it. And a drop down, typical sort of 60s dynamic thing, drop out, take it all down and then come back in. and a fuzz bass solo to end. What more could you ask? And Ron giving it some welly with his fuzz bass at the end. 9 out of 10 for me, never a skip. Another really great track.
Well, Spanish Boots, I'm going to say this out loud. It doesn't sound anything like Led Zeppelin at all, but the riff, the way that it starts off, I'm hearing the Lemon Song by Led Zeppelin. So I'm not saying it sounds like it, but the progression is very close. So if you go and listen to the Lemon Song, then listen to the start of that. Now, I believe this came out before the Lemon Song.
Yeah. Well, they both come from the same place, don't they? It's Killing Floor, isn't it?
It's coming from that blues background is what I was getting at. Yeah, so that Killing Floor. So that could be the only thing on the whole album for me that you could put a Led Zeppelin reference on this. That's the only thing for me. But it starts off bombastic sound. It's huge. The vocals from Rod are great. I love the lead break. The stuff you highlighted with the slide and stuff. That's great. There's some killer drum fills in this. It's a very unique drummer. This guy. He's got a feel in his drumming. It's exciting. It's energetic. And I love the drummers from this era all had something to prove. I don't know if you guys think of this, like that 69, 70, sort of 71, 72 sort of era. They all had something to prove, and it sounds like he's trying to put like his own stamp on being a professional drummer, but he's all over the place, but it's perfect, if that makes sense. I can't really describe it. So, I hear Mitch Mitchell, I hear, a Ginger Baker. I'm hearing lots of different things in his drumming. He's a great drummer. And Beck has a unique way of doing overdubs. And he's overdubbing with his lead guitars in this. They cross over. So the guitar parts, he does one half, and then he records another half to make one complete full section.
Yeah.
But they're overdubs. And the way he does it is so unique. Wonderfully done. The little ending jam, it's like it's waiting. It's the way the song ends. It's like it's waiting for a jam, and then you hear, that exciting bass, fuzzy, buzzy sort of sound from Ronnie Wood. There's that little section just before that where there sounds like it's going to break into a jam. But yeah, look, I love it. I gave it 10 out of 10. Never a skip for me. Fantastic.
You guys have given a wonderful insight into this song, so I'm just going to back it up with just one observation. This is Rod Stewart trying to be Pete Brown. You know, I took Spanish haberdashery, restored it with 15th century tapestry, but oh, Mr. Nesbitt got the best of me, so I strapped on my boots and said, "So long." You know, it's just so typical of the lyrics from that era, which is great. I love it. I love it. You know, I put my boots on and said, "So long." You know, we know what that means. You know, it's a nice way of saying
to be wandering.
Yeah, I'm out of here. Look, I can't add anything more other than the connection that Brad and Leo made with the Lemon song. If there is some comparisons, but look, everybody, as we've said many times, Rock Professor and Brad was nicking something off someone around that time, and were they nicking it on purpose? No,
Well,
no.
I don't think they actually stole it from Led Zeppelin, is what I was getting at. Maybe the other way around.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, look, I agree with you. You know, but Led Zeppelin have been notorious for borrowing bits and pieces. So it's just the way it is. Look, guys, I have to give this a 9 out of 10. I love it. I think it's a fantastic song. It's a statement about what was happening in the time. And Simon, it fits in 2022. It's a great song.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I think that is one of the things, isn't it? That it still sounds really good today, doesn't it? You know, I mean, some of those 60s albums could sound, that kind of hard panning left and right, because they recorded in mono. But this sounds, very, very good. It's really well. I mean, a shout out to the production of Mickey Most.
Yeah.
I don't know, for because it still sounds really good, really sharp. And clearly you can tell. They've made some decisions about what's going to be up front in the mix and what isn't, because in those days you couldn't have everything as loud as everything else, and sometimes they have Jeff's guitar sort of pulled back, don't they? It's one of the things that, he's a bit more in the background, but that's fine. That's a decision they made about it. But it still sounded really good to me, I think that, So
cool.
The third track is A Girl from Mill Valley, which is a Nicky Hopkins pretty much solo piece. It's a solo piano piece, really. Just a instrumental. Yeah, I keep hearing at the beginning. I thought, oh look, this is going to be a Ray Charles thing, and then Rod's going to come in with his, doing some sort of soulful vocal over the top, kind of thing. I sort of kept waiting slightly for the singing to start, but it's an odd little number, I think, to put it in, considering the two tracks we've had. Contrast. I'm using the word contrast to speak of it. It has. That's really funny. It has some tiny guitar stabs at the beginning, doesn't it? But then they give it. It's like, no, we won't do that. And they've got drums and bass, and they have an organ playing underneath the piano towards the end. Yes, a nice instrumental and stuff, and I think clearly they wanted to show off Nicky Hopkins' prowess as a keyboard player. I think for myself, I think it would have been improved by having vocals on it. I don't know whether Rod ever thought of it, but 7.5 out of 10 from me. I think it's a sort of it's fine. I won't skip it. I don't skip it. I think it's absolutely fine. I just think in terms of what the album is, it's one of the the lesser tracks. So for me, 7.5 out of 10.
Awesome.
I'm not far off where you are, Simon, with this one. I thought it was a wonderful piece. The music is beautiful. It's melodic. It really features Hopkins, which is great. The overall sounds and the tracking are fantastic. I wasn't sure position-wise on the album, song 3, whether this was the right choice. But, it is what it is. It's there. And maybe it was to fit on the LP. They had to arrange it this way. I don't know. They wanted to end on a slightly different number. Either way, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Probably a strange choice to put on this album, in my opinion. That's all. Being that it's a Jeff Beck record. But it's great that they featured Nicky Hopkins. So, I would have thought maybe this album could have been more another original or something, another different song without it being a piano piece. Because, I mean, you talk over Jeff Beck group or Jeff Beck, you would picture it would be more of a guitar-orientated song. There's very limited, if any, guitar playing in it, like you said. Only at the start, really, that I can hear. But not taking away from it is a wonderful piece of music.
Oh, yeah. That's why I wouldn't skip it.
Yeah, I skip it. I don't like it. I don't think it works on the album at all, and I don't understand why they would want to give Nicky an opportunity to showcase something that, in my opinion, is guitar orientated. There's plenty of other songs where he's doing it really, really well, unless it was just because Jeff wanted to give him, because it was his album, some opportunity to go and play piano, which completely fits into what Jeff Beck would do. If the management and the production team were saying, no, don't put it in, Jeff Beck's the kind of guy, Brad and Simon, that's going to say, I want it in. And so because of that, I'm fond of it. I'm fond of it because there's an attitude behind it. But maybe it's a sometimes skip. Brad and Simon, maybe it's sometimes skip, but when I listened to it, I was kind of shocked when after those first two songs and getting into this. And I know that sometimes we like that acoustic layover that a song or an album gives us, but Brad and Simon, it doesn't give me that the goosebumps that other acoustic songs on other albums have done. So because of that, I'm going to give it a 6.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Jailhouse Rock, Simon.
I think that.
Sorry, Brad.
Just go back. It's either a sign of Jeff's maverick, decision making, clearly.
Yeah.
Or I kind of, I mean, as this album is only 7 tracks long, I wonder if it's actually it's one of those things where you go, we need a track. What can we do, Nicky? That thing you'll play, that would do that, and we'll put it on. Do you think
that makes sense?
There might have been because clearly this is not very long after Truth, and those days you pushed a good morning, Kenneth. How you doing?
Hey, Kenneth. That makes sense, Brad. A filler.
I wonder if this is a bit of filler that that just because this isn't a very long album, is it? It's only about 30 minutes long. Nothing wrong with that, by the way.
Yeah.
But I think possibly there's a bit of the old Mickey Mouse producer in here going, yeah, do that. That's another 4 minutes. We'll be all right. We get to 30, and that's an album kind of thing. I felt with this a bit that you almost could have made, that there was like one and a half sides or one side of, and actually they probably needed to spend a bit more time doing some composing of some other songs to really so they put this on as a kind of uses up another 4 minutes kind of thing. That's a kind of 60s expediency.
Yeah, that makes
Especially
sense.
Something like Mickey Most. Yeah. Anyway, so that was my theory about it. So track 4, last track on side 1, is the mighty Jailhouse Rock. Amazing, really. That guitar intro is ZZ Top on Fandango. Absolutely. I mean, that's where they got it from. It was ZZ Top did Fandango
Stop
later, didn't it?
stealing my notes. Gosh.
Sorry. Do you want to go first?
No, it's your turn.
It's my turn, yes. So, but it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Boom, boom. It's like, you're like, oh, right, yes, ZZ Top. That's where they got it from. Please, nothing wrong with that. That's a definite plus in my books. But that tremendous, and it's on the edge of feedback as well, isn't it? He's got that second time feedback. You think, oh, it's going to get, really fantastically. I find that deeply thrilling on a lot of because you just feel like it's on the edge of out of control. Massive sound again, the production of that beginning bit is just amazing. And then they go into the song, and you've got the piano prominently, with the guitar, bass and drums, fuzz bass again. We're back to, this follows beautifully on the third, from the first two tracks, really, with this kind of Nicky Hopkins, isn't he?
Yeah.
But he does that kind of thing where he plays and then he takes it down a semitone. I don't even know how you do that. I think that might be, it's a combination of slide and fingers as well. It's just those little things. You just go, what is he doing? How do you do that? That's not something anybody else I've ever heard does. I'm just brilliant. It's just, those things make my make my spine tingle, because they're so brilliant. Not just in a technical way, but they're kind of, just the sound they make and the way he does it is just fantastic. Got piano solo, Nicky Hopkins doing his stuff. Is he
good one?
Yeah, absolutely. Which, when I think is, as you said, Andrew, is just as fitting a showcase for Nicky Hopkins as having his own piece. Lots of fast guitar soloing. I mean, Jeff showing he can play fast if you want fast. Really heavy drums, and that at the end where he has that feedback with the whammy bar and stuff. Controlling just amazing. And the fade out. 10 out of 10 from me. Never a skip. Just amazing. Kind of take that classic rock song and rock and roll song and kind of it's just brilliant. Love it.
Look, the first time I listened to this today, I had to go back. Like, the song started, and I went back to the start again, and I went back to the start again. Sounds like the speaker box is like only hanging in by a thread. Like the speaker cabinet, I don't know what it is. It's just like, I don't know if you guys pick this up, but it actually sounds like that amp must be so cranked, or whatever it is, that speaker box, whatever speaker box is using, sounds like it's barely holding together.
It's going to blow up, bro. It's on the verge of blowing up, isn't it?
On the verge of like giving up. Unbelievable. Look,
nothing more thrilling.
That's Brad on a gig night, isn't it?
That's me at a small club, mate.
I bloody wish, yes.
Look, you would not pick this as an Elvis classic. You would not pick this as an Elvis classic. This version of it is completely different. They've made a fun, funky version out of it. The rhythm section swings in this. It's a really great vibe. The singing from Rod Stewart is outstanding again. Jeff Beck's solo, somewhat groundbreaking for this time and this era, like what's going on, and innovation, what was happening at the time. His guitar playing here is innovative. Like, no one was really doing what Jeff Beck was doing, in my opinion. The piano playing, it's really cool, sets a nice vibe. Nicky's playing great in it, and Ron Wood, he really moves and shakes the low end on the bass in this one. He's really getting into it, and I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I listened to the intro about 3 or 4 times before I listened to the song through from start to finish. For that reason alone, that doesn't happen to me much, where I go straight back. What? 10 out of 10 for me. Never a skip.
I like the fact that you were talking about the speaker box, bro, shaking. Yeah. You can almost imagine it. And you can almost imagine Beck saying it's not loud enough. Turn it up, because he was, he used to piss his bandmates off, didn't he? Because he wanted it like really, really loud, and he's suffering for it now today. So maybe he should listen to some of his bandmates earlier on, bro. But the point though that Brad made, guys, about this shake, it's vivid, and we love hearing that, don't we? We love getting these images in our minds from the music that we listen to, bro. Spot on there. Two things that I want to back up what my co-host said. Completely different from Elvis. great song. Elvis's version is just a great song, but this is completely wow. It's like freaked me out when I first heard it. I'm glad that you guys are mentioning Ronnie Wood. I'm just going to back something up. I think Ronnie Wood playing the fuzz or a tone bender on bass, Brad and Simon. I think he's doing something deliberate. He doesn't want to sound like John Paul Jones, and he doesn't want to sound like Jack Bruce. Doesn't want to sound like anybody else. So he's just whacking, or the bass player that was with Jimmy, what's his name?
Mitch Mitchell.
No,
Noel Redding. Noel Redding.
Noel Redding. Yeah. So that's definitely Ronnie Wood saying, we're going to do something different here with the bass. I'm going to fuzz the F out of it and fuzz it. It's going to fuzz. We're going to go fuzz, you know. And look, I love it. I have to give this a 10 out of 10 too. It's never a skip. Just a remarkable song. And you know, Brad, you know how you're saying that it's shaking? It's almost you can almost like picture the song just about falling apart, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I had a picture in my head of like the speaker cabinet, like where the joins are, them sort of like coming up like this, like they're just doing this, and the whole band's just hanging in by a tether, you know.
Yeah.
Throw a thread, yeah. Andrew, one thing I will say, that on our conversation last night with Alan, he was talking about John Paul Jones's sound on the first Led Zeppelin being that kind of fuzz bass sound. So clearly that I think there's a kind of synchronicity there. That's what bass players were doing around that time, plugging it in, you know, Marshalls or whatever, and getting that kind of much fuller sound out of it.
Look, absolutely, but jeepers, it's turned up to 10 on this baby, isn't it? Yeah, you know, Ronnie Wood, yeah.
Keeping up with Jeff. That's what called keeping up with Jeff, isn't it? You know, it's absolutely.
I ain't playing this bass on 5, baby. It's going up to 11.
Yeah. Never mind that. Yes, yeah. Anything you can do, I'm attempting on bass. Yes. Shaken up is that's what I'm thinking.
You can't tell a gypsy boy what to do, mate. They're going to do what they want, eh?
That's true. Yes, they are. Yeah. Oh, yeah, but fantastic kind of, reimagining of that song. Amazing kind of, and, you know, made special by all of those things.
One question for you guys. Do you think they would have rocked this out when they played it live? Do you think they would have extended the solos, Brad and Simon? Is this a song that they would have done that on, do you think?
I would assume so. I haven't actually gone and investigated that. That's a really good point. I'm not sure if there's live recordings on YouTube or what, but that would be something really worth looking at.
Yeah. It just dawned on me now when we were talking about it that this would be a song, in my opinion. Yeah, we'll check it out. And if anyone's watching the replay and knows that they have, wants to add a comment or give us the link, please do.
Yeah.
Oh, look, you see, there's a Jeff Beck group live in Dallas, 1967-1968, full show.
Wow.
So I might check that out later. That's
check that out later.
Seems to be the one. But yeah, are we going to do some pictures? We're at the end of side 1.
Oh, yep. Okay, hold on. So give me 1 second. Hey, Kenneth, good to see you. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're looking after him. We're looking after him, Kenneth. He's looking after us.
Well, hopefully we are. Yes, not harassing him. Never mind you being sick. Get back on the show and sort.
That's the truth be told. The doctor's orders were to stay away from 6 months. They said, "No, you're coming back today."
Oh my God!
Yeah, we've talked to our doctors, and they said you're fine to come back.
You're fine to come back, or you're fired.
Oh gosh! Stop. Okay, Rock Professor, this is the album that you mentioned,
Yeah.
the cover that you mentioned in the introduction, which is based on. Do you want to remind everybody?
René Magritte, the Listening Room, it's called. So, Hugh
Do you
Jackman
guys
in the
have an
room.
opinion on the cover? Is it one that makes you go, wow, cool, or is it one that goes, what the heck is that Granny Smith doing in that box?
Strange.
I think both. I think both for me. It's
a bit strange. It's something that I'd more associate an apple with the Beatles for some reason.
For some reason,
apple,
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, good on. I have to agree with Brad, but also apple shampoo.
That wasn't invented in 1969. It's to me, it's I like the fact that it's a Magritte painting. I think that's cool. I think it's that kind of acknowledgement of that kind of impressionistic, wanting to say this is about this being art. It's not just it's not just a collection of songs. It's an art statement in ways. I mean, we know Ronnie Wood's a painter, so I don't know how much influence he had in these things, but I think there is an element. Certainly, then, if you think about Peter Blake doing Sergeant Pepper's, for instance, making and all those things with the revolver and all. Sleeves were considered to be artwork, weren't they?
Well, I'm gonna
things you made a statement with. You did something. So
I'm going to back up what Alan said earlier today. He said the only reason why we're talking about the album cover is because the music in the album cover is so good. So otherwise, you wouldn't be talking about it. So it's like, oh, really? Oh, but that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Because we love talking about album covers. So I'm going to be the meanie and say that. But look, I agree with you. I think. Look, it's strange. It's a strange album cover, and it makes you think, what the heck is this about?
Yeah. Oh, and that's part of it, isn't it? Part of your, intriguing your audience. Because remember in those days, you were flicking through boxes of records, and therefore that to make it stand out, as a sleeve, because that's the first thing that's going to attract the listener is the look of it. So you're flicking through, you go, oh, what's that? God, it's got an apple on it. That's weird. Or perhaps I'll give it a listen. It's Jeff Beck, give it a listen. And so it's to draw you in, it's to make you interested, to intrigue you, to it does all of those things, I think.
There's the wizard playing his Les
There
Paul.
He is. Yeah.
Again.
You had a great sound with that Les Paul as well. Great tone.
So this is the band.
There we are.
So Rod Stewart, Jeff Beck, Ronnie Wood, and Tony Newman. So I'll do a bit of a. So that's obviously Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Ronnie. Look at beautiful Rod. Oh my gosh. And that must be the drummer.
It's Jeff, Ronnie, and Rod, and the drummer. Well done, Mr. Walton, and the drummer. Oh, that's harsh.
Look how young they look, though.
Just the drummer, Andrew.
Yeah.
It's just the drummer.
Just the drummer.
Just the drummer. No one knows who he is. Yes.
I'm being cheeky.
We do.
Guys. Come on.
Tony Newman. Yeah. Come on. We're in drummer joke territory now, aren't we?
Now this is a pic from '69, Fillmore East, guys. Famous venue. So there's a couple of things here too that we always love, don't we? The way that they're playing tight. Look at that.
Look, is the drum riser on kind of wheels so you can wheel it?
Yeah, it looks like it's on
like
casters.
It is, doesn't it? Yeah.
They must have been a support band.
Well, what they did at Fillmore East is they'd have the opening act and they'd just wheel the drum set in and wheel it out. So very smart, very clever. Rather than the revolving stages that they have now.
Mm.
But look at that, just a simple kit, and there's look at them.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
It's funny. It's funny. The drummer's over on the side, isn't it? And then the three musicians are over on the left.
Yeah.
Kind of weird, isn't it? You yeah. If that was me, I'd be going, well, one of them has to be on the other side. Can't cope with the lack of symmetry.
So this is one that Brad's gonna love. Look at that, Les Paul.
Yeah.
Look
It's
at
beautiful.
that. Aye.
Man,
Beautiful.
that's
Yeah.
the thing.
Mm.
Does he still have these instruments, Jeff? Does he still got them?
I
It's a good
don't know.
question.
I hope so.
Good question.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about.
And there he is.
There he is. Both hands on the neck.
Yeah, you can see even at this point, like even just in the pictures, you can see he was an innovator, like
Yep.
what he was
Yeah.
doing. Yeah.
Good point, bro. Good
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
He's doing something with those strings, isn't he?
Doing something different to what most guitarists were doing at that time, that's for sure.
Is he doing that? Is he doing the plectrum scrape, Danny?
Like he could be doing anything. Knowing Jeff Beck, he could be doing something on the string, anything. Yeah.
Yeah, banging it, whatever. Yeah.
That's all I got, folks.
In that picture, there's the kind of that's the ferocity, isn't it? There's a kind of ferocious bit to Jeff.
Look at that. He's attacking it. Look at
that.
that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's
Give me that cat. I'm going to wring its neck.
He's getting right into it. That's for sure.
I love cats.
Yeah.
So we love cats on this show, ladies and gentlemen. That was just figure of speech.
Shock, horror, probe, animal cruelty.
Yeah, no, we love cats.
All of a sudden, the YouTube channel goes backwards because of animal cruelty.
Advocating animal cruelty. No,
we love animals.
We love animals, all kinds.
We've got
Cats and dogs.
We have the obligatory channel dog, haven't we, Pepper? The channel dog.
Yes.
Yes. You see, absolutely, we have. Helena Horror says you better like cats, Andrew. Nice.
In the video now, Andrew.
Yeah. We love cats. Yeah. We love them. Honestly.
Oh, yeah. We used to have a cat that would we'd take on holiday with us, and it would get in the car when we were ready to go. It would just get in the car. And then we drive to Scotland, and it would spend 4 weeks in Scotland roaming around our campsite. And when we were ready, we pack it all down. And you go, oh, we're going home. Right, get in the car. You just get in the car. It's like really weird.
English cats in Scotland, eh? My gosh.
That's how we roll.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, dear. Anyway, sorry, apologies. Back to the matter in hand. Side 2. Here we are on side 2. Definitely doing that. And the first track on side 2 is Plinth, which is another original, Hopkins Wood Stewart's original. Starts off quite oddly, doesn't it, with that da 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 da, and then this massive like heavy riff from Jeff. It's like,
yeah,
I wonder who decided to put this kind of musical piano intro on it. It was a bit odd, but it's quite fun. Made me laugh. So I think. And then you've got, as I go into the riff, and you've got that kind of like the hi-hat, that so like Smoke on the Water, isn't it? That just playing the hi-hat just reminded me of that. Great singing from Rod again. A different riff in the interlude between the verses, and lots of fast playing. I mean, and underneath one of the things is Rod sings and Jeff's underneath going. Giving it hell underneath. And you've got like a funky break about 1:30, and then back into the intro riff with plenty of whammy bar action and
correct,
and the hi-hat. So great intro, great, full of verve and energy. 9 out of 10 for me, and never a skip.
Well, for me, this one, it's got a very tough guitar sound in this song. reminiscence of early Deep Purple at times. This song definitely. Rod's vocal, he's out to prove something in this song, and I think he does. He does a great job, and we all think of the disco Rod Stewart. When you think of the word, when someone mentions Rod Stewart, you think of "And You Want My Body," and that song. Come on, sugar,
steady. We don't want him rioting in the chat.
Hot Legs and all that. But listening to him here, it's like a different person. He's like a young guy that's out trying to prove himself as a vocalist, and that's where I'll leave that. There's some really funky sections in this song. Jeff Beck shines over funk. When there's funk being played, he knows what to play over it. Really quirky, funky things. And the easiest way I can put it is, I think as soon as there's a bit of funk element to it and there's pops here and there and there's something going on, it's like his brain triggers to doing something completely different to what most guitarists will do. And I can't even explain it. You'd have to go listen. But what he's playing over the top, it's like he's floating over the pops, in the funky sections. Quite remarkable. And he does it with so much color over the top. It's just unbelievable player. And this is why I say he is innovative for this. For this time frame. What he was doing is no one was doing this stuff. There's lots of movement in the song, busy playing, but it all kind of works together. And there's two kinds of busy in a band to me. When a band's playing and it's really busy and it's noisy, that can get frustrating for a musician. But these guys are busy and working so tight as a unit, so it sounds great. For this song, I gave it 8.5 out of 10. Sorry for all the waffle, but I just, that's on my notes, and that's what I've got here. 8.5 out of 10, and never a skip for me.
Side 2 for me is it's a different beast altogether from side 1, guys. I love side 2, and I think this is where they're cooking as a band. I read some reviews in preparation for this show, guys, and it's interesting because a couple of people that I respect their opinions of pointed out that, look, this is just not only a showcase for Jeff Beck, it's a showcase, an indicator of where where Ronnie and Rod would go with the Faces. And when I read that again, that made a connection with me, because sometimes you have to hear or read something to trigger something. Well, I certainly do, and to appreciate it in a different way. So when I read that and listened to it again, Simon and Brad, I thought, yeah. This is 3 or 4 pieces of the pie coming together, and it sounds really great. And definitely, it's a Beck showpiece. He's the one that shines, but you can see all these other elements. I love it, Brad, and because of that, I've got to give it a 9 out of 10. I love where the second side of this album is going, though. To be fair, I'm probably letting a couple of talking about cats out of the bag. But yeah, we're certainly getting somewhere different on side 2 with this, Simon.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a really interesting observation. I think that it's noticeable that there are just the 3 originals on here with the band, and I think they're, in a sense, they found a sound, they found an idea, they found a group identity that really comes out in the 3 songs on this side. Absolutely, a sort of a that we can examine in a minute. So the second track is The Hangman's Knee. I don't know who comes up with these titles.
Isn't that a pub? It sounds like a pub.
maybe it is. I don't know whether Well, it reminded me. Was it the Hangman's Noose or something? It sounds like almost a bit of a play on a sort of English folk song, but the Hangman's Noose or something, but not really, because the Hangman's Knee just. I don't know. I don't know whether the Hangman's Knee is a pub, but you're right. It does sound a bit like a pub, doesn't it?
It does.
Somewhere up north. The Hangman's Knee.
Up north.
Up north
Those
on the Pennines.
barbarians are.
In the mountains. Here we are, the Hangman's Knee, where it goes silent and they look at you when you come in the door. Those hippies coming in through the door with their long hair and their flared trousers. You're going to get an odd look. Track to the Hangman's Knee. So this starts off with a doomy riff. Again, it's a kind of Sabbath, almost a Black Sabbath kind of, Jeff seems to just come up with these things, then bands make a whole career out of what Jeff plays in, half a dozen notes kind of thing. But that terrible doomy riff, and then into a kind of, I think probably for the first time, a classic kind of heavy blues structure. So much more kind of, where you kind of imagine it, Jeff, to be, but hasn't really been there up until now. He's not really, the rest of it is not really had that kind of blues structure to it in the way this does. It's got that kind of slow swinging rhythm. Again, great gravelly singing from Rod. He can sing, and I think that these songs certainly, are a showcase for him as much as they are for Jeff, for sure. And as you said, Andrew, kind of showcasing where he's going to go, where they might go next. But certainly the talent's there, isn't it? Again, we've got the big bass sound holding it down. The bottom end is, and I think that kind of production, having, that sort of really big bass sound is great. You've got solos, with occasional slide solo. Again, that's use of the slide, subtle use of the slide, and some second guitar as well, some overdub guitar. So there's some two guitars, and with interestingly they're very much of a band. So you have vocal interjections from Rod whilst Jeff's doing his solo bits. They're not much less partitioned off. It's all kind of in the mix, and you can do that, those vocal interjections. Then you've got a piano solo over the bass, and again more vocals and piano and guitar interplay, which I think is really cool. And and you've got that kind of swooping guitar at the end. I don't know how Jeff does that, probably with a slide, possibly, but again, it's kind of guessing, isn't it? It's like, well, I wonder how he does that, and to a fade out, another fantastic kind of integrated piece of playing by the whole band. And I think that the whole band contribute to a sound, and what they make. 9 out of 10 from me, never a skip. I think this is fantastic as a band, and I think it's important to say that as a band, it's not just a showcase for Jeff.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Hangman Knee, this is like the blues drenched rock guitar song I've been waiting for on the album. I love the way the song starts. It's got that gritty, like, what do you call it? Grotty bluesy sound that I like, and reminiscence. I mean, we talk of like ZZ Top before. Doesn't sound like ZZ Top, but that's what I love about ZZ Top as well. They have that down low and dirty sort of blues sound, and that's what this is. Rod Stewart shines on this song. There's some great playing by the whole band. They're all playing fantastically. It's like Jeff Beck is floating on top of this one as well. He's sort of doing this across this music that's just doing all this. He's just coming across the top. He's just holding it across the top in fine style. And it's just truly, it's amazing. He truly plays some great bluesy, funky rhythm as well. Some great piano from Nicky Hopkins, and the jamming on this, like you can imagine, this song could have stretched out for way longer in the studio. They obviously culled it back to do, whatever. I think it was this one 4 or 5 minutes, this one, and the last song 7 minutes or something. Is that right? Whatever it was,
right.
I thought to myself, this could have easily been a 10-minute song live. That's all. 9 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. I was going to give it a 10, but I had to sort of put it in place from the first song. So, yeah, 9 out of 10 for me. Never a skip.
Well, I'll give it a 10 out of 10 because for me it's one of the standout tracks, guys, on the album. I have to agree with what Brad's saying. That dirt, that grit that we get from it, it's just like, wow, it's something that we haven't had on the guitar. And we've had touches of it, Brad and Simon. This is a song I think that the Rolling Stones wish that they could have done too. And I don't know why. I don't know why I'm hearing that, guys. But yeah, I think Keith Richards would have been really jealous of this song, and he went and nicked elements of this. I think certainly that the band did in the '70s when they got a little bit more. I hate to say the word grungier, but look, I love it. I think it's great. The tonal the tone I'm hearing is just remarkable. It's unlike anything else. And then, of course, it leads up to the next song. And I'm probably letting the cats out of the bag again. But Brad and Simon, I've got to give this a 10 out of 10, and it's never a skip. 4 minutes and 50 seconds of greatness.
Yeah.
Wouldn't disagree with that. Absolutely not. No. Cool. So the last track is as you said, Brad, is kind of 7 minute long. So it's a kind of last track, epic last track called Rice Pudding. Again, who decided to call it Rice Pudding? It's like it seems willfully Jeff to me to kind of like, we'll just call it Rice Pudding, whatever. It's kind of,
Well, you guys should have called it bread pudding, because isn't that what you English guys used to have over there? Bread pudding
and rice pudding.
Oh,
and
you guys
all
had
sorts
rice.
of other, but it's rice pudding. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh yeah, and hideous things like tapioca. Ooh.
Oh,
frog spawn. Ooh. School. Welcome to 1970s school dinners in the UK.
tapioca.
Not my thing at all. But anyway, so yes, I don't know who invented the name of it, but anyway, but this is this is teeming with ideas. I think it's like it's got idea all over it. It's loads of rhythmic interest, driving syncopated rhythms which return regularly. To the riff. You go off, do some improvisation, come back, play the riff again. And interestingly, I read, Andrew, that there's a great same kind of mood control. Dynamics. The D word is coming back. Dynamics that which the Stones displayed on Cuts Like the Last Time and things. So as a kind of that he's making a connection with that as a kind of thing. So starts off drums, guitar, bass, drums, playing really heavy riff. Another one. Jeff inventing musical genres as he goes, tossing them off. There's another one. Chaps, make a career out of that. Again, I think, as I say, the lesson here is dynamics. And this is one of those things where, we've discussed this a lot. You've got a 7-minute song. When you're 1969, what you're dealing with is a lessons in dynamics. So it's got a drop down. It's got some swoops and runs. It's got slow runs. It's got fuzz bass. Varied drumming. Again, more varied drumming. About 2 minutes, it speeds up, and then it half 2 minutes 30 drops down with the piano coming in, and the drums follow the rhythm of the piano, and then Beck comes in with his heavy overdriven sound, massive sound again. And then the drums come back in. You've got slide, which is very atmospheric. You've got twin guitars playing very high up the neck, and then you've got just piano, bass, and drums playing a bit with the. And then you use this like again. for me, a masterclass in dynamics. You know, when to play, when not to play, when to take it down, when to bring it up. You know, go back to the riff again. You know, and then make a new path away from that riff again. 10 out of 10 for me, never a skip. Again, for me, a masterclass in dynamics of what to do when you don't have hundreds of effects pedals, and you know, think you do what you can do with a guitar and an amp pretty much straight in. I think, you know, so and the sudden stop, like somebody cut the tape. Finished. It's just but yeah, 10 out of 10 for me, never a skip. An amazing song, and you know, showcasing everyone.
Yeah, rice pudding. I hear so many bands that have been influenced by this song. Right?
Indeed,
I had
yeah.
to word it that way. At the end of this, I definitely hear the end of "In From the Storm" by Hendrix in this song. I don't know if you've picked that up. I want you guys to go and have a listen to that.
I'm gonna listen to that. Yeah.
You go and listen to the very end of "In From the Storm" by Hendrix, and then listen to the song. Maybe they borrowed something there. I'm going to say that and leave it at that. But that's not taking away from the song. Great playing by the whole band, as you said, Simon. Prog rock at times, organized jam at times. Some great guitar overdubbing from Jeff Beck. You know, the piano plays an important part in this group, and there's no more emphasis than right here in this song. Nicky's playing on this is quite unique and beautiful. There's some lovely slide guitar. I think this is one of the best songs on the album. I gave it 10 out of 10, and never a skip for me. Never a skip. Andrew.
Oh, this is my Brad score. I think the song before this leads into this. It's like a hand in glove for me. I think it's just a match made in heaven. It's tonal bliss, Brad. I just think it's fantastic. I'm not surprised at all about the song influencing so many bands. It's just certainly a sign of the times, product of the times. I don't have a problem with bands jamming, you know, and they wanted to catch that 7 minutes on the album. You know, the Rock Professor makes this point many times. You know, it's the beginning of the album. The album was more important than the single, and you know, and these guys were certainly aware of that, weren't they? They were creating a masterpiece for the time. It's a Brad score beyond any Brad scores for me. Just about. I absolutely adore the song. Never a skip. And it's mandatory. Side two is just about perfect for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So then we are on side. That's the end of side 2. Although interestingly, I don't know if you guys played the other 2 songs that are kind of they put on the Sweet Angel and Sweet Little Angel and Throw Down the Line. Oh, they would have. Sweet Little Angel is like a slow blues thing. You know, with again another lesson in dynamics. A kind of Hugh Bryce, well worth a listen. It's fantastic, fantastic playing. It's got a lot of space in it, but really really good. It's fantastic. So that's worth a listen. Throw Down the Line is much more of a kind of more of a straightforward pop song. Really, it's got a really good chorus line, good melody.
Hi, Hugh.
But well worth checking out.
Hey, Ed, good
Morning,
to see
Hugh.
you again. It's been a long time since Ed's been in the chat.
Yeah, that's good. Fantastic. Thank you guys for dropping by. Really cool. So, I really, in summing up, I think this is a brilliant album. You know, it's kind of dense in texture, lots of physical and nervous energy. You know, tremendous kind of, you know, musicianship. You know, Nicky Hopkins, you know, the way that the musicians interact with each other, you know, that dynamic, you know, the guitar and the piano and Ronnie Wood's bass. Shout out to Ron's bass, absolutely. And Tony Newman's drumming, which is, you know, solid, really varied, you know, really, you know, adds a lot of percussive color to the songs, which I think is really good. You know, I think Rod's great to great singing, showing off his singing to what he could have done in a blues band, that kind of rock blues thing that he never quite went to again, did he, in that way. But fantastic. Yeah, for me, a really great showcase for Beck's talents and the other musicians' talents as well. So heartily recommended from me. Definitely go and investigate it if you don't know it.
And the backstory with the album too, when they toured it, led to a little bit of chaos. Jeff leaving the tour, going home to find out if it was true, whether or not the missus was having an affair with the gardener, which wasn't true at all. And then obviously Brad and Simon, we've heard the rumors about the confrontations that they were having with the producer at the time. And, I think it was the beginning of Beck's independence as a guitar player, as an artist. I think he made his mind up that he was going to do what he wanted to do. And it was from his experiences on this album. Not saying that the producer didn't get the best from this band on this album, but certainly Beck wasn't interested in fame like a lot of other guitar players maybe wanted. Beck was certainly quite happy, wasn't he, to sit and spend a couple of days on Mum's couch.
It's so Jeff Beck, that, isn't it? Oh dear. That's a
complicated fellow.
Cheers me up no end.
Complicated is abs. You go and read some interesting articles. He's very.
He's very.
I got to be careful what I say because we're a family show. But he's very determined, isn't he?
100%.
It's fantastic though. But as you say, that singularity of vision, that kind of that I'm going to tread my own path completely,
sure,
regardless of the consequences, is always attractive, isn't it, in an artist? And I think that having the Magritte painting, the apple inside a room kind of thing, crammed inside a room, is a as you say, Andrew, a pointer to Jeff thinking, I'm an artist, this is art, and I'm going to go and pursue my vision of it, in my guitar playing, and and so he has. So hats off to him for that. But Jimmy Page always speaks highly of Jeff Beck, doesn't he? Always speaks highly of him. I've never seen him, cussing Jeff off for leaving or whatever. It's like that's what Jeff does.
Yeah, absolutely. Though it's a brotherhood, and great album. I enjoyed listening to it, Simon. Thank you for picking it. And I went and watched the documentary a couple of nights ago. And I'm sitting there going, you got a big smile on my face. Yeah. You don't tell me what to do, boy. It's great.
Nobody tells me what to do. It is great, isn't it? It's kind of, it's what we want our rock artists to be, don't we? Slightly sort of, So,
unfortunately, a lot of artists are doing what they're told to do these days, from what I understand. So, I
think the 60s. Well, I think the 60s, that late 60s period was the time when the record companies weren't necessarily in control, and we've talked about this. I mean, Frank Zappa, that famous Frank Zappa thing where he's when the old blokes were in charge of the record companies, they didn't really know. They didn't know what was good and what was bad. They didn't know anything about. So they just put loads of stuff out. They just put it out, see what would happen, and then gradually, the young cool cats took over the record companies. And then they start deciding what's cool and what isn't, and then you start having that sort of funneling down into what they think was class, but which does make perfect sense, So this is kind of in the middle of that period when people didn't know, so people just put stuff out, and you could just do things.
Awesome.
Suited Jeff down to the ground. So thanks, guys. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I've not really investigated this album for a long time, so it was really great to go back and really listen to it again, and see and get an idea of early Jeff Beck and just how creative and just how brilliant he was then.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So the secret for the show next week, guys, Ambient Music has been having a chat to me and said that he'd love to come on and do a show. And I said to him, yeah, you're more than welcome. We'd love to have Brad. We've been saying it for ages. If you want to come on and pick an album. So the album, it's a great album, ladies and gentlemen.
Man,
it's an
has
album
he picked an album? Yes.
it's an album that other people have mentioned for a while for us to do. So it's a hugely influential album. It's Peter Frampton's Come Alive. We're going to be ranking that. That might go over 2 episodes, Brad, because I think there's about 14 songs on there. So
Yeah.
So if you guys haven't checked that album out for a long time, I certainly haven't. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. What a guitar player! What a guitar player!
Yeah. Fantastic, great work. I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh,
so ambient music has picked that. Lake District Ambient Music. Thank you, brother. We look forward to catching up with you.
Clear your diary. You could be here for a few weeks.
Yeah. Let's sort that out. A couple of weeks.
Awesome. Brad, do you want to give your conclusion on this album? Because you haven't done that. I think I jumped in. Sorry, bro.
No. Look. The main thing I can say, this really highlights Jeff Beck. He was an innovator in this time frame, in my opinion. I don't think. Honestly, I don't think there was a lot of guitarists around doing what he was doing, and there were some fantastic players around. Don't get me wrong, but listening to this album again has made me want to go listen to more Jeff Beck stuff. So I'm looking forward to diving back into the Jeff Beck era, because I haven't actually listened to Jeff Beck for a while. So it's been great.
Awesome.
Been great.
Awesome. John ZD351 is asking about what's happening next Thursday. John, we'll talk to you soon. We've got to get in touch with Hoss and work out what's going to happen. It's probably a good segue for us to remind people who are watching this, and maybe the replay, that we're going to be going live from the EVH tribute gig. And Brad and John have got a couple of things they're going to work out, and Hoss as well. So, guys, stay tuned. Keep in touch with us on our social media accounts. I'll put some posts up on the community page when we get something sorted, and we look forward to that, Brad.
Yeah, well, at this stage, there's no details yet. Hoss will probably find out everything, this week. So,
yeah.
Cool. Take a packed lunch, John. You may be there for some time. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be really great. Simon's Van Halen extravaganza at the Corner Hotel. It's going to be fantastic.
Look forward to it. It's been great hanging out with Brad, doing a full show with you, brother. You've been fantastic. Your insight, back, outstanding, man. Brother.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I must admit, I'm just starting to get a bit tired now. So a couple of hours is where I start to go ready for a nap.
Wow. It's fantastic to have you back and to see you, man. It's really cool.
No, great to share the screen with you guys again.
Awesome.
Lovely.
Rock Professor, do you want to do a shout out and
I'll do a shout out to people in the chat.
The last words?
Yeah. So Lake District, see you next week, and the week after, and the week after that. John ZD 351, see you Thursday. Ed Dana, thanks Ed for dropping by. Couldn't agree with you more about Frampton and Humble Pie. Check out Humble Pie at the Fillmore, which we did a while ago. Johnny Heartbreaker, thanks Johnny. Gret Zeppelin, Deja Voodoo, Arvin, of course, Helene, Hugh. What else we got here? Ed, Hugh Caldwell. So Johnny Heartbreaker as well. We had, didn't we? Helen Winter. We had Thanks, Helen, for dropping by. Kenneth K, thanks, Kenneth. Scrolling back. Leo Safko, of course, Leo. Crappy Luxury as well. Thanks, Crappy, for dropping by. Good to see you. Jazz Thunder 50. Jim, thanks, Jim, for dropping by. Getting up early in Scotland, you see. Who else we got? Tim Thomas, of course, Tim Thomas. Thanks, Tim, for dropping by. Sorry, guys. Adam Crofts as well. Thanks, Adam, for dropping in. Deja Voodoo, Johnny Heartbreaker. Hopefully I got everybody. So thanks all for staying and watching and your cool comments. And yeah, we'll be back next week for Frampton Comes Alive.
See you guys.
See ya. Yeah. Take care all. Stay safe. Bye.
What are we doing? What are we doing here? Oh, it's this button.
Are you pressing the button?
You guys just keep those hands up. You keep those bloody hands up. All right.
Yes, boss.
Right. This button. This one.